Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Purpose and Valor Podcast. My name is Marcus, and this podcast is about clarity, leadership, responsibility, and learning how to move forward, especially when life feels heavy or uncertain. This podcast is for people who feel stuck, overwhelmed, or unsure about their next step, but still want to grow, lead, and live with intention. Hey, everybody, and welcome back. This is episode 3 to the Purpose and Valor Podcast. And today I want to talk about something a lot of people rely on, when they're trying to make progress in life. And surprisingly, that's motivation. A lot of people think, if I just had more motivation, I'd be more consistent. I'd be more productive. I'd be further along. But the reality is, motivation isn't the real issue. Direction is. And what I mean by that is motivation can fail you at sometimes. Motivation comes and goes. Some days you wake up and you feel ready to go. You roll out of bed. You get your coffee made. You eat your breakfast. You're out the door. You're fired up. Other days, you don't feel like doing anything at all. You want to lay in bed for that extra 10 minutes. You want to just sit on the couch. You have chores to do and you just don't feel like doing them. And if your progress depends on how you feel that day, then your results are always going to be inconsistent. Like you wake up, you're fired up, you go to the gym, you've hit 2 weeks in a row, week 3 rolls around, it's Monday, you wake up, I don't want to do the gym today. I don't want to go. I'm sore. I'm tired. Whatever the excuse is, you end up not going. Well, now that one day turns into a week, turns into 2 weeks, and now all of that progress that you've made in the gym is gone. Now you have to start over. You're back at day one. There are days where everything does feel easy. There are days where you're going to wake up and you're just going to have that motivation, that boost, right? And then there are going to be days where it just feels like a grind just to get started, just to roll out of bed, just to brush your teeth, whatever it is. There have been times where I've felt really motivated and I'd start something strong. I'd be working on a project and without any clear direction behind it, that motivation didn't really last that long. And once it faded, I found myself right back where I started. I give that example of the gym. I've done that. I've gone to the gym multiple days, multiple weeks in a row, woke up that Monday morning and just felt meh, right? I think a lot of us have been there. And I think a lot of it is that, we want to go to the gym, but we don't set out a clear workout plan. We don't set out a clear goal. We don't set those expectations for ourselves to make that step. And once you do have, talking about the gym, once you do have that plan, once you have that goal, all those little steps of just getting to the gym just becomes a lot easier, and you're able to stay on track. You're able to keep going in that direction. Direction gives you something motivation never will, and it's clarity. It gives you structure. It gives you a reason to keep moving even when you don't feel like it. Going back to the workout plan, you know, if you fall off, you're going to have to start over. But if you keep your eye on the ball, if you keep on that same path, going in that same direction of hitting every day that you need to for your workout plan, yeah, there are going to be days where you don't feel motivated to go at all, but you're following your direction. And that's what keeps you going. You can go to the gym unmotivated and still get your workout in. Was it a crappy workout? Maybe. But guess what? You still did it. You know, there's a difference between feeling motivated and actually moving forward. You know, a lot of people, confuse the two. You know, like I said, you can have that motivation all day, but then the next day it can be gone. But if you actually have a plan, a direction, a mission, a goal, and you're working towards that, that's where the progress is. That's where the progress is happening. You can't rely on your motivation to get you there. Can you use it as boost? Absolutely. A lot of people chase motivation because it feels good. It gives you that temporary boost. It makes you feel like you're about to change something. But the problem is it doesn't last. You can feel motivated for a moment, but if you don't have direction behind it, nothing is actually going to change. Find your direction. Use the motivation as a boost throughout that goal. And why direction actually works is, you're knowing, what matters right now. You know what your next step is. You know where you're trying to go. You don't need motivation to take one step forward. You need direction to take one step forward. You need clarity. Most people aren't stuck because they're not trying, right? We talked about this in the last podcast. They're stuck because they don't know where to focus. Think about a time where you didn't feel like doing something, but you still did it. Why? Because you had direction. You had a goal. You had a mission. Not because you were just motivated one day and just thought, let's go do this. It's because you came up with a clear plan on how to obtain your goal, how to conquer your mission, and you were able to get there. You were able to accomplish what you set out for. If you're waiting to feel motivated before you move forward, you're going to stay stuck. But if you focus on getting clear, creating that direction, creating that purpose, creating that mission, that goal, things start to move. Not all at once, but one step at a time. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in today to the Purpose and Valor Podcast. And just always remember, stay focused, stay strong, and keep moving forward.